Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com here with another Ixalan spoiler update video. There are some good ones today. Before we get into it, I just want to let everyone know that I am still working on the Market Monday series and the Rogue Market series. Just a few more tweaks and we'll be ready to have that out every Monday, and then throughout the week, Rogue Markets that go along with it. So be patient with me. They're coming. I did want to talk about the Ixalan spoilers though, because there are some goodies today, and this is really going to affect the format. Not on like bomb rares or bomb mythics, but just the little pieces we've been missing for especially like control based decks, tempo based decks, just a lot of the even spell based decks. So I'll try to incorporate a little bit of Market Monday of how this works, because I really think like cards like Metallurgic Summonings get a lot better with these cards that are printed or anything else that has to do with spells. I mean, a lot of them are rotating out of the format. We get like the Thermal Alchemist is gone, and there actually was a pretty good Harness the Storm out of Innistrad that is rotating. So these cards won't be used with those particular cards, which I think would be very powerful in those type of strategies, especially now we have basically two Thermal Alchemists in the format. However, we still do have Firebrand Archer, we still do have Metallurgic Summonings, we still do have more than a few creatures that work with either prowess or just with drawing cards or casting spells. So I think that this will result in tempo decks coming back and being able to compete with the current tempo-based strategy, which is Temur Energy, which tries to get a lot of values out of creatures. Now we'll have value out of spells. So first of all is Spell Pierce. Spell Pierce is going to be very good for decks like Torrential Gearhulk, or just any sort of white-blue control, or black-blue control, or red-blue control, or even all the tempo decks, even to combat those type of decks. It probably will get the nod over Dispel, in my opinion. It's going to give us something that will counter any non-creature spell. So Hour of Promise is going to be something we can counter. Hour of the red hour, Hour of Devastation. This can be really good against that. And I think that it's going to also be decent versus combating God Pharaoh's gift strategies by countering a lot of those type of spells. And it just holding up one blue is a lot easier to do than holding up a blue and a colorless for a card like Negate. So very welcomed addition. It will mix things up. People have been wanting more of a card like this. We've had some pretty narrow counter spells, and they've been getting better and better for a while now. We got some good ones in the last set, good ones in the set before, like Supreme Will. And yeah, so Spell Pierce definitely will shake up the meta. Next one, we're going to have to open this sucker up. Twilight Skywalker. So it's a Vampire Cleric for 1 mana, flying, target attacking vampire gets +1/+1 until end turn. If this is a very solid card, actually, as it can get in there for some decent damage early. It doesn't have lifelinking, but later on it can give one of your attacking vampires +1/+1. So if you have it on like another lifelinker, this can really put you over the top versus the aggressive decks if you are running like a Vampire Tribal. I'm not sure how well that will work. Very solid card in Limited nonetheless. The Regisaur Alpha. This is a card I'm very excited about because it's 5 mana for a 4/4, and other dinosaurs you control have haste. It does say other here, but when it enters the battlefield, it does create a 3/3 green dinosaur token with trample. So trample and haste. So you will be getting in for 3 damage that turn, and it's 7 power on board, and it's spread between itself and, I mean, this is very similar to what the Broodmate Dragon. There's been a few of them in the past that have done similar, kind of like the Splicers. It does have a heavy cost of 5. Doesn't have evasion itself. It doesn't have trample. It would have been nice to have trample, but it can do some pretty nasty things with other dinosaurs. The Naya Dinosaurs does look like it might be a tribe that is worth playing. We get the Lord, the Dragon Lord is extremely powerful in a tribal. And I mean, this could be a fun little card, even run like a God Pharaoh's Dinosaurs type deck to reanimate them that way. But we'll just have to wait and see what other pieces will help the dinosaurs. We do need some smaller dinosaur type creatures or some other ways to enable them before I'm sold on a dinosaur tribal being viable in Standard. So the next blue spell is Opt. Opt, scry 1, draw a card. Very good card that actually could see a lot of play in the modern format. because of this is actually quite good at instant speed. Like right now between Serum Visions and the we have Serum Visions, we have the other one that they run in Storm, Sleight of Hand. But Opt might be better for Death Shadows decks. Right now they can run cards like Thought Scour, but it might actually be better than the Serum Visions in those type of decks, because instant speed allows them to hold up Lightning Bolt and then opt it in a turn if they don't run a Lightning Bolt, or opt it in a turn if they don't run a Mana Lake, for example. So blue-red spells in this, the Thing in the Ice type decks, could get a lot better in Modern because of cards like Opt. So looking forward to how this will mix up Modern, as well as it's definitely be standard playable. This is a card that enables decks. You have 56 cards, like, okay, just chuck in some Opts. And again, it's going to work with the Metallurgic Summonings, with the Vibrant Archer, those type of decks that want to cast a lot of spells, other Prowess decks, anything that triggers off a draw card, even anything that triggers off a Scry. I think there is a card still that does. Maybe those have rotated. But it's a very solid card at instant speed. It's a cantrip, it filters. It's going to be a great card to add to standard. We get some more enchantment and artifact hate, which we might be a little bit overkill at this point. This one does just replace the Destroy Target Artifact draw card that was out of... Wasn't there one of those that was out of Shadows of Innistrad? I'm not sure this is quite playable, though. It is instant speed, and it does draw you a card. But 4 mana is very, very tough. Mainly what you want to be doing in standard at the moment, your 4 and your 5 drops are very, very important. And so using like a Slice and Twain over a... throwing it on like an Eighth First Harvester or a Torrential Gearhulk or the other vehicle, the Heart of Karan, I don't think is what you want to be doing on turn 4. I think that there's still better ways to destroy artifacts and enchantments, and even 2 mana. Is it worth paying an additional 2 mana to draw a card? I'm not sure that we're there. So Duress gets a reprint, which is this is going to be really, really good at combating the Torrential Gearhulk decks. And these control decks. So they are giving control and Temple a bit of a boost, but they are keeping it in check with Duress. So I'm glad that they're doing that, because we did need Duress. Duress would have helped against like Aetherworks Marvel decks, would have helped with even Saheeli combo decks, to be able to practically Duress them out on turn 1. Turn 1 and turn 2, especially turn 2 having a very narrow between lay bare to the heart and Transgress the Mind, sometimes not hitting what you want to hit, is night and day. Like, Duress is going to be a very welcome addition to the black-green Constrictor decks, because they typically don't do anything on turn 1 besides go for a land. So Duress can practically get something out of their hand that could be problematic later on. It doesn't hit Torrential Gearhulk, for example, but it does hit Glimmer, does hit the counterspells, does hit, again, the Hour of Devastation. So it is just much better card, in my opinion, than Lay Bare or Transgress. And those both have seen a lot of play, and Duress is going to see a ton of play in Standard to be that answer, that proactive answer to get rid of problematic cards. So I'm glad that we do see a Duress reprinted. Stormfleet Aerialist is a 1/2 with Raid. It will add a +1 counter if you attack with a creature this turn. Pirate. We do want some fast pirates. This is an evasive pirate, a 2/3 for 2 mana. I think this is really, really solid. If anything is going to get a tribal-based deck for pirates, it's a card like this. 2/3 flying evasive. It dodges Magma Spray if you can get the counter on it, which is very, very... Doesn't get rid of, like, Harness Lightning and a Braid, but if they want to use a Harness Lightning or a Braid on the Stormfleet Aerialist, I think that's a win for you as a pirate deck, as they have to spend on their turn 2 or turn 3, allowing you to progress your board. Still doesn't get around the 3 damage board wipe spells, like Yahini's Expertise or the Sweltering Suns, but it's still pretty good. We need to see some really good 1-drop pirates. I know there are a few that have been spoiled already, but I think we need a few more solid ones to really get the pirate theme going. Speaking of pirate, we have a 5-mana Stormfleet Arsonist with Raid. If you attack with a creature turn, target opponent sacrifices a permanent. This one is actually not that great in Limited or in Construct at the moment, because it allows your opponent to choose which permanent, and at that point in Sealed, usually it's going to be a land or a creature that is outclassed at that point. So I think this is a trap card in Limited if you're going to pick this up highly. It is a card for a card. But again, it's a card for the weakest card on an opponent's. A lot of things that gives your opponent choice end up being a lot weaker than, than you want them to be. There might be some cool little flicker effects that can start locking out opponents out of lands. But all in all, I think this is actually weak for what it does. I don't think you want it in a pirate deck, for example. We get a favorable winds reprint. This is actually not bad because we do have a lot of aggressive 1-drop and 2-drop flying creatures in the format. This will actually pump up Heart of Kran, for example, and it will pump up Aether Sphere Harvester. It also makes the Hope of Gariper better. It makes Thopter tokens from Word the Virtuoso better. So I think that this card will see play in decks. The problem is, though, a lot of where this card probably would see play the most would be in a Spirit-based deck, and those are all rotating. So Favorable Winds gets a reprint. I'm not sure there's a lot to do with it. All right, Savage Stomp. It costs 2 less for if you cast it on a dinosaur, and +1/+1 counter and fight. Not bad. This actually isn't that bad in even the Green-Black Constrictor, even if you're not running dinosaurs. You probably will be running a dinosaur in the sideboard in Green-Black Constrictor. There are 2 good dinosaurs that I think are good additions. One's the 4/5. When it takes a damage, you draw a card for 4 mana. And the other one is the uncounterable Hexproof card. I think both of those will either go in the sideboard or be incorporated into the main. Savage Stomp isn't bad with a card like Whining Constrictor, or even like Walking Ballista. You get a card, a counter on it, and then fight off a creature, and you still have that the benefit that it gets from the +1/+1 counter. Yeah, we've seen cards like this in the past. It's solid though. I think the Savage Stomp is very solid. The Wily Goblin, 2 mana for a 1/1. Here's another 2 mana pirate, and when it enters the battlefield, you get a treasure artifact token with add 1 mana to your mana pool. Very disappointed this is double red. This makes this so much harder to play in a 3-color pirate deck than in if it was just 1 red, and it'd help you fix too and ramp for your next your Pirate Lord. So as is, it's okay for 1/1 for 1. It does feel very similar to cards that I've played in the past, like Generator Servant, but it doesn't even seem as powerful as Generator Servant. Creating the artifact is nice. I'm not sure, like, I've been wanting more cards to work with Marinette Master, so treasures, for example, or any other cards that deals with artifacts. So this one is going to be good. What's really cool about this is with Improvise, you can then tap. Oh, no. This artifact has to tap to sacrifice it. That sucks. This doesn't have sacrifice. Okay. Never mind. But, I mean, it's still fine. It's still pretty solid to add in a treasure. It might be the lowest drop. So it makes it kind of awkward with the 1-drop. Either the red 1-drop's okay, the Inventor's Apprentice. So you can go first turn Inventor's Apprentice, second turn Wily Goblin. Other than that, still puts you in a weird position. You could ramp the next turn to a Chandra. So this can ramp you up in red, and that's not a bad play whatsoever with the Wily Goblin. It can still crew the Aether Sphere Harvester. So I'm okay with that, but I'm thinking red-white with the Toolcraft Exemplar. This one is probably weaker than anything else you want to be doing on turn 2. Turn 2, the options now are Scrapheap Scrounger and the Heart of Kran, and as well as even at that point just running a removal spell. There already probably is other solid artifact cards you can run on turn number 2 rather than the Wily Goblin. So I don't know where this is going to fit in Standard. Overflowing Insight's probably not playable at the moment. I think the Pull from Tomorrow is just better. 7 mana to draw 7 cards. At that point, if you put in 7 mana into Pull from Tomorrow, you get instant speed, and you get 5 cards, and then just have to discard a card. So yeah, you aren't getting enough. But at this point, how many cards do you need? Usually, if you cast Overflowing Insight, you're gonna have to end up discarding cards anyway. So I'm not a fan of this card. I think it's the triple blue is a lot tougher as well. And sorcery speed means that it's not going to be able to be cast with a lot of cards that can cheat it out, like Torrential Gearhulk. So I'm not a fan of the Overflowing Insight. Probably will see play. I don't know. With Pull from Tomorrow, though, it's going to be tough. Pirate's Cutlass, 3 mana. When Pirate's Cutlass enters the battlefield, attach it to a target pirate you control. Equip creature gets +2/+1. Equip 2. So you can go turn 2 a pirate. There's your 2/3 pirate guy, and then turn 3 attach it to it. This is actually pretty good with Carry Zev as well. Carry Zev is a menace card. It'll make it into a 3/4 with menace, and then you're attacking it for. But it's quite weak though. I think there's still better things that you can be doing. And the equip, I would like to see this be equip 1. I think that would have made it a lot more playable. Alright, so here's another 2 mana flying. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. Exile that card until it leaves the battlefield. We've seen these in the past, like the Mesmeric Fiend. Unfortunately, though, you can't like sack it in response and their card's gone forever. They fixed that. But these traditionally, like Brain Maggot, have seen play in the past. I really like this in a pirate-based strategy against like Torrential Gearhulk. You take their Hour of Devastation, you take their Abrades, you take the things that they're going to use as removal, and then if they want it back, they have to use removal on the freebooter. So it's pretty solid as a 1/2 flying. Definitely will see play. This is what the pirate deck absolutely wants. Sanctum Seeker, 4 mana for 3/4. Whenever a vampire you control attacks, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. This is going to be very similar to the Brutal Horde Chief for the Lord for vampires. Unfortunately, most of the vampires are rotating from the Innistrad that would be very good with this. We still do have some decent ones like the Aetherborn, the 2/3 Death Touch Aetherborn that work well with this. Also the Markov decks are going to love this in Commander. This is what they've been waiting for. Very, very solid card as a 3/4 for 4. Yeah, that's right. It dodges a Braid, dodges the Yahini's Expertise, dodges a lot of things. So it actually triggers off itself. So yeah, definitely a solid card if Vampire Travel is going to work. Thematic Compass. Search your library for basic land card reveal. Put in your hand to the library. If you control 7 more lands, it transforms into the Spires of Orazca. And this untaps target attacker your opponent controls and removes from combat. Add 1 to your mana pool. This is going to be tough. You got to search for a lot of basic lands. I mean, it can get you. It doesn't put him on the battlefield, though. I think Commander might want this. I think we've had cards similar to this in the past, though. And yeah, it just has kind of a weak ability of untapping attacking creature opponent controls. I'm not sure if I like this card. I think you don't even want this to transform at that point. Anyway. Conqueror's Galleon. This one attacks, you transform it at the end of combat 2/10 crew 4. And it turns into Conqueror's Foothold, which allows you to add or to draw a card, then discard a card for 2, draw a card for 4, or return target card from your graveyard to your hand. I think Commander decks might want this. Standard is going to be incredibly tough to play this with the crew 4. And maybe some sort of energy-based strategy would want this later on, as it's just pure gas once it is flipped, as it can ramp a turn, which is relevant, and then start drawing and discarding, which is relevant, and then can start getting back a card from your graveyard to your hand, which is super, super relevant later on. However, yeah, I think Commander will want this in particular decks. So I'll probably want it. You'd want it in like a Locust God type Commander. It'd be great, because it'd be easy to crew it and then attack it, then transform it. And then you start getting advantage out of it. But it just might be too tough at that point to really make this worthwhile. I mean, that's a lot of ifs. Turn 5, you're not going to get this till turn 5. And then it ramps you a turn. Yeah, not sure where this fits at the moment. A lot of the good ramp cards are gone too, out of Standard. All right, so here's the card, the Wild Growth Elemental that I really like. Whenever creature control explores, put up +1 counter. If we get a lot more explore cards, I think this is a pretty solid card. It does what you want it to, a 1/3, so it dodges the Magma Spray there. And then as soon as you put a +1 counter on it, it gets past a Braid. So if there are some good Explore cards in the... You really want that 1-drop Explorer. I'm not sure if there is a 1-drop Explorer, if there will be a 1-drop Explorer, because Explorer tends to be a pretty decent ability. And then if it is a 3-drop or 2-drop, you're going to have to wait a turn to do so. But it's solid in Standard, or in Limited, it's going to be a very solid card. And the 3 life is actually pretty good in Standard if you have enough ways to explore. So now we're going down to a couple days ago with the Wanted Scoundrels. When it dies, target opponent creates 2 colorless treasure artifact tokens with sacrifice add. So it's got this. It's a 4/3 with a. I think that I don't think you really care about this though. In a pirate deck, I think this is what you want. You want a very, very quick 2-drop to enable a lot of those raids on turn 3, to have an aggressive start. It does die to Fatal Push and a Braid, so it's a liability right there, and then ramps your opponent up. But there are certain decks where extra mana isn't going to do a lot. It'll give them a turn ahead. Against, of course, decks that have higher converted mana cost cards, this is going to be tough. But against the lower end, like against like Ramming Up Red, for example, I don't think you care too much about this dying and then giving your opponent the artifacts. So I think it actually is playable. A little bit of a liability as well in limited with ramping your opponent, but you never know. There'll be instances where this can be just really powerful and limited, as it's going to get in there for a lot of damage before they take care of it. So I'm kind of mixed about this card. I think it's very playable. I think it's actually more playable than the one that makes you yourself tap down your lands for another turn, the Ronus' Last Stand, which is a 5/4 for 2 mana with a very negative effect, and this is a 4/3 for 2 mana. Huh. All right. Drover the Mighty, 2 mana. Drover the Mighty gets +2/+2 as long as you control a dinosaur. Add 1 mana of any color mana pool. This is kind of similar to Servant and the -1/-1 counter one. I think it's actually weaker in most cases, even if you're in a dinosaur deck. Would you rather have Servant? I think in 3-color and you're going to be running probably a Tune with Aether anyway, and so Servant's just better. Yeah, I think Servant is just... Until Servant rotates, I don't think this is going to see any play. We already have 2 better options. The Siren Storm Tamer. This is your pirate. This is your 1-drop pirate. This is going to be a extremely good card for pirates. It actually protects your Wanted Scoundrels and your other raid, your 1/2 flying raid card, by being able to counter target spell that targets a creature or a creature control. So it's actually pretty good too in like our God Pharaoh's Gift stacks. I'm probably gonna put this in the sideboard if Dispossess becomes a real threat, because then we can counter a Dispossess. So it's going to be super relevant for there. It's another 1/1 flying for 1 mana. So actually it looks like these pirates are most of them are going to have flying, or you can make a flying deck around it. So maybe Favorable Winds will see play. And yeah, God Pharaoh Gifts, this could go in. Pirate deck is looking pretty solid at the moment. Lightning Strike, very welcome addition. Does kind of compete with a Braid, but most decks will probably put both in. And that gives them a very solid removal. This is a time in Standard where we have very, very good removal packages. We have Fatal Push, we have Lightning Strike and a Braid, we have Cut to Ribbons, which is an extremely powerful card. We have Harness Lightning, which is also really, really solid because it scales quite well. So Lightning Strike is another option to the mix. And yeah, I like it. I like this. I like having options to where you have to choose. I think that the red decks will just run both, to be honest. And Marty Vehicles might not want this because they're Lysis Disintegration, but this gives them a Lysis Disintegration and Lightning Strike. So this could just replace Fatal Push. I don't know. It's definitely a welcome addition. It's a lot better than Incendiary Flow, because a lot of the cards I think you have to worry about with Incendiary Flow are going to rotate. Other than you still do have the 2/1 champion, you still do have the Scrappy Scrounger, but I think Lightning Strike is going to be an addition to a Braid, or if artifacts just become obsolete, then people will start playing Lightning Strike over a Braid. Headwater Sentries, 4 mana for 2/5. It's bulk. Shapers of Nature, 3/3 for 3. Put a +1 counter on a creature. Remove a +1 draw a card. Pretty much bulk. This is a limited card. I don't think it's going to be constructed playable. It's just too tough. This is kind of fun though in like a Training Ground +1 counter deck. I've ran what's the Experiment 1, or even the Momorvig. This is kind of a nice little card to throw in that, but at the moment I don't think it's playable. Primal Amulet. Instant sorcery spells cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, put a charge counter. And then, or 4 more, you transform it into the Primal Wellspring, which adds 1 mana of any color. When it's cast on an instant sorcery spell, you copy it. Unfortunately, this is really, really high on the converted mana cost, but a spell deck could definitely see play with the Primal. Here, yeah, this is where Opt is going to be wonderful. Anticipate doesn't rotate. Is Anticipate still in? Does it? But we still have the 3 mana counter spell, or look at the top 4. Yeah, Anticipate does rotate, doesn't it? I think the last time it was that a Kaladesh? I'll have to look it up. But Opt, we have a lot of other spells. This is going to be a thing. I guarantee it with the Primal Amulet. Because you only need how many? So 4 or more. That's easy. and then you can use it that turn that it transforms over. Very, very solid card. Yeah, this is going to make spells a thing. So, yeah. And then you start drawing a ton of cards. Love this card. Love this card a lot. All right, we have another Pirates, a 4-mana pirate. Whenever it's a battlefield, you search your library for the equipment or vehicle. Commander card's going to love this. Equipment, especially. This is going to give blue a way to go grab the Skull Clamp, of course, which is going to be great for a lot of blue decks in Commander, or the Jit, or even swords at that point. And vehicles are a nice addition as well. There are a lot of decks that I play that actually run in Commander Smuggler's Copter. And yeah, I think it can go get an Aether Harvester and crew it, which is nice. If we get another pirate ship that possibly can only be crewed by pirates, this can be a welcome addition. So I think this will see play. Trophy Mage might just be better at getting a lot of the cards that this could get, and it's one less. So keep that in mind. But it's a lot more versatile to grab equipments or vehicles of any converted mana cost. Wish it was a 3-2 so it could crew Heart, though. I think that's a mistake not to put it a 3-2. I think it would have been balanced as well as a 3-2. At that point, you could have even made it a 3-1 if fear of balancing it. The Awakening Sun's Avatar. This is an 8 mana for a 7/7 dinosaur. But you have to cast it with your hand to destroy all non-dinosaur creatures. This is going to give the white ramp something that green-white ramp is already an archetype that is playable. At the moment, they do, some of their enchantments rotate, but I think they still have enough. You still have Hour of Promise, which curves perfectly into this because you go turn 5 Hour of Promise, which gets 2 lands, drop a land the next turn, and you have Awakening Sun's Avatar out. And so you can even chump block with those 2/2s. And in a Naya list too, Naya Dinosaurs, this is playable. So Naya Ramp Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs kind of awkward because right now they're looking more of a tempo-based deck, but you could actually go like a high-end Dinosaurs. Or you can just run this in your green-white ramp. I mean, you lose Linvala. You lose some of them, and this is kind of a weak 7/7, no evasion. So that you have to keep that in mind. But it does destroy all non. It's a creature that then has to be answered after you've answered everything they have, which is fine. And the problem is that you can't reanimate it, which makes it a lot more fair. The Warrior Poet. What is this? Hotley Warrior Poet. This, I think people are underestimating this card. It's 5 mana for a 3 loyalty planeswalker. That's the big problem, though. So Lightning Strike is going to keep this card in check. You gain life equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. A lot of times that's not going to be good on turn 5. If that's what you want to be doing on turn 5, to turn a planeswalker into a 5 loyalty counter, and then put it up to X damage divided among any number of target creatures, and then they can't block. Yeah, that's actually... that is... And you can't divide 0, so I don't think you can do 0. Yes, you can. So you can do this for 0 and something can't block, I believe. But creating a 3/3 dinosaur creature token is such a liability with this card. Lightning Strike then kills it. There are many other ways that can just end this attacking in with a creature. I don't know if I like this. It seems like it needed to be a little bit higher than 3. I would rather have this been 4, and then this been... This +2 is such a weird ability in a deck that wants to turn the tides quite quickly. And I don't think gaining life's the right route. Could they have done a +1 here instead? I'm not sure. Ixalan's Binding enters the battlefield. Exile target online permanent opponent controls. Until it leaves the battlefield, your opponent can't cast spells with the same name. So it's another... this doesn't have flash, though. So I think that it's going to have a hard time seeing play over the cast out. But once cast out rotates, then this actually does become a little bit better. Sentinel's Totem, 1 mana. Scry, exile all cards from graveyards. Here is a card I'm not looking forward to because one of my favorite cards in the format right now is Godpharaoh's Gift. And this is really good for Godpharaoh's Gift. I think this is very similar to the Tormod's Crypt. It costs 1 though instead of 0. You do get a scry out of it. And you do have to exile it, and then you exile cards from a graveyard. Yeah, it's fine. It's a very, very solid card. It can be tutored up with Trinket Mage in Modern, but you can already get other things like, you can already get Relic at that point. This is a little bit better than Relic in some instances, though. You don't get a draw card, you get a scry, and it's only 1 mana, and you don't have to have that activated. Tormod's Crypto already does very similar to this. We'll see what people actually value this scry on this card. All right, so I don't think we've where did we get to with my last spoiler video? I think we got to this one. Yeah, so we have this last little bit here. Jace, Ingenious Mind Mage is the one out of the Planeswalker deck. You draw a card, untap all creatures, and gain control up to 3 target creatures. This one isn't terrible. 6 mana, though, that's tough. But it's got a relevant draw card ability. I mean, that's usually what we've used 5-drop Planeswalkers in the past for. And untapping all creatures is kind of weak, but it's relevant. You can cast Jace and then protect by untapping. So say, for example, you use a creature to ramp into Jace. You can then untap it. And then the -9, though, takes a while to get up to it. But draw, gain control 3 creatures. I can see this being played in Standard, but not more than a 1-of. And it's tough. It's tough to justify it. It gets up to 6 loyalty immediately with it. But yeah, I mean, it can really ramp. Untap all creatures can be a very, very good ability. And then the dinosaur, the Hotly out of the Planeswalker deck puts 2 counters on up to 1 target creature control. That's very weak for a +2 ability. And a dinosaur deals damage equal to its power target creature you don't control, allows you to kill off something. And dinosaurs get +4 before. These are all very lackluster for a 6-drop Planeswalker. I don't think it's standard playable. Castaway's Despair, enchant creature, taps it, and doesn't untap. It's a good card limited, not good in constructed. Grasping Current, return 2 target creature controller, search your library for Jace. I can see that. It curves well. So protects, then Jace. Probably too much of a stretch. And Jace's Sentinel. As long as you control a Jace, it gets +1/+0 and can't be blocked. Woodland Stream reprint. A 2/2 Vigilance Dinosaur. Creature gets +2/+0 until turn. If you control Hotly Planeswalker, that creature gets +4/+0 instead. Probably unplayable. Sunblessed Mount. 5 mana for 4/4. Search library for a graveyard for Hotly. Put into your hand. Kind of awkward as well. Unless this one sees a lot of play, then this one I don't think has the ability to do so. Yeah, both. It just seems the mana cost is just too high. You already have a creature that can go get a Planeswalker. Stone Quarry gets a reprint, and I think we did talk about all of these cards before. So far it's looking to be a pretty good set. We're starting to see the uncommons and commons that are going to impact Standard, and these 2 are really good. The Ops, Spell Pierce, and Lightning Strike are all very, very good reprints for this meta that I think is going to give even like red-green aggro some resurgence. Lightning Strike's perfect for a deck. I know we did have a sorcery ability for that, but the difference between an instant and sorcery is night and day in Standard at the moment. So far looking to be a very powerful set, and looking forward to brewing around some of these cards. Still would like to see a lot more treasure-based stuff. And I would like to also see a good sack outlet. I'd love to see a transform card that has you sacrifice 3 artifacts to transform it or something like that. Don't we have one that actually sacks treasures already to do something? But it sacks treasures. I want it to sack artifacts. That way I get another little Marionette Master. I'm going to miss Westvale Abbey a lot after it rotates. And if you want to know why, go watch my Playing Out of Budget 2 weeks ago, and then watch my Rogues Alley over at Gathering Magic to see the deck that I'm currently playing, and have a very phenomenal win percentage with it. Super solid. Beats the other God Pharaoh's Gifts Mirrors, like the Jeskai or the U-White, and just a very, very fun deck. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments in the comment section below, and your little ratings or something I missed with this spoiler video, let me know in the comment sections. Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Thanks for watching.